The Dhamma is not one somebody can see from outside and understand. This is a wisdom of realization and has to be realized within and expressed to others. This has been explained in the Jatidhamma Sutra in one line. That is, Sandhanam Bhadu Bhavatanam Patilabho. To understand this, someone should have great knowledge. The Madhupindika Sutra, Sanchetana Sutra, and Jatidhamma Sutra are like things of the chain. Cannot be removed one sutra, removed one without affecting the other. Without understanding one sutra, the other one cannot be understood. The one who understood all at the block will be able to explain all for the destination. The Buddha has explained these sutras in different ways, in different situations, different people. But what the Buddha explained in all sutras in one thing. It is the ultimate truth. We need this Dhamma in the Sutra to realize the ultimate truth. This is very important. Here all explained now arise of this form. Iti Rupan Samudaya. Now you should not have any doubt regarding the wisdom of collection of past mind. Ubbe Jnana Susati Jnana. Then the wisdom of the collection of past minds is the ability to see past mind according to the order in which those minds have taken place. Like what is happening now? What happened at that time as such? The little child doesn't know anything when he was born. The Buddha said that the birth jati is the birth of the eye. When something is seen, an idea is coming as this is good. This is a gem. This is a book. This is a table and as such. For all this according to the usage. Likes the dislikes will arise. This nature varies from one another. This is not good. It doesn't work for me. Just throwing it away. Accordingly, aversion arises. Otherwise, the object is good, it is valuable, and I need to keep it. Then desires arise. This is how desire, aversion, aversion and delusion come into play. Therefore, this is where the defilement pleasure or originate. Then he gets angry when he encounters an undesirable object, and he gets rejoiced when he encounters of desired object. That is where jealousy, anger, and stinginess, stinginess all come in. It is the nature of small child behavior. He grabs what he likes and does not allow anybody to take it away. This is called the nature of tendency to become attached. This nature of the tense has been inbuilt into the cells since the time of the mother's womb. The cells have the nature of tendency to attach. This is how the system is maintained by Mother Nature. These all are governed by nature of speed. For example, when rotating two fireballs, we can see rings of fire. But it's a real sense. There is no ring. There is only two fireballs. The speed of nature is illusory like that. When someone's childhood doesn't have an idea to marry, he doesn't have the feeling of love. These ideas are coming to his mind when he is getting young. Their reason for this is the continued build-up of volitional formation again and again. Rupan, Rupatai, Sankata, Harisankaroti. What happened was that child took the addition of color and sound and thing, taking this process as a thing is ignorance. The combination of color and sound with the formation. Then, like this, dear friends, we all like this Dhamma in day-to-day life, or sometimes face the person or to clear problems. Then, Buddha teacher guiding teacher always to do right path. Then, will the moment Arana say connect with the after one Sarani.
Tedwan Saranai, Arana answer. May I pay homage at your feet? Tedwan Saranai, Meherin answer. Tedwan Saranai.
Teruan Saranai.
Now, you all know that Buddhopada sermons are not any ordinary sermons. It's the
ගාමිණී
doorway to
කොහෙද ගියේ? ගාමිණී කොහාටද ගියේ?
this Dhamma.
එහෙමද?
Worldly
ආහා.
attain the supreme bliss. If you study those Dhamma genuinely, you will know what is true Dhamma. You will be able to see the truth about you, and a great wisdom will be awakened within you. Actually, this series of Dhamma discourses will astonish the whole world. Now, in our country, such sermons are heard at this very moment. So it's time to open up the eye of wisdom, because the great light of wisdom can be heard from every direction to comfort the minds who are suffering from various things. So now it's Buddhopada time. No reasons for suffering, no reasons for falling back to samsara. The true Dhamma has awakened. The miraculous preachers of Buddhopada would be heard in this time. So it's time to awaken to the deep wisdom. It's the supreme truth. If you are listening to Buddhopada sermons, actually you are truly blessed. So listen carefully. This is about your own life story. This is your story of freeing from suffering, freeing from samsara. In the mundane, ignorant world, you have a death. But in Aribhumi, one won't even have a death. So it's time to know the absolute truth, the path to freedom from thoughts, path to freedom from suffering. Buddhotpada sermons are not ordinary sermons. It's the doorway to Nibbana. So we too can attain Nibbana, as our spiritual guidance teacher always explains. This Dhamma path is very pleasant and calm. No need to hurry. It's not that Nibbana is somewhere, so I have to go and find it. It's nothing like that. Actually, we are sitting on it. The wonder of this Dhamma is when you realize this Dhamma. There won't be any internal fire for anything or anywhere. So why this is a Sandvittaka Dhamma? Because no one can teach this. No one can give you. One has to recognize by his own efforts and experiences. For example, the salt you eat is only experienced by yourself, isn't it? You just can tell that you ate salt, but can you tell the feel of salt? How can anyone make someone else to experience it? Likewise, this is directly experienced by yourself only. That's why it's called Sandittik, Ehipassika, Opanayikadam. Our spiritual guidance teacher, Buddhotpada Arana Mahansa, is preaching this Dhamma for about 4 years now. So it's up to you to understand and contemplate and also experience. Anyone in the world can come and experience this. Anyone can investigate. But until one directly experience by oneself, this Dhamma cannot be expressed. So why Pachupanna Dhamma? Because it happens when there is a cause for a moment and disappears when the cause disappears. Here we are talking about a thought. This is a natural phenomenon. That is why you call it impermanent or anitya. So Lord Buddha asked the bhikkhus, is this I permanent or impermanent? Impermanent Bhante, the bhikkhus replied. So if something is impermanent, does it bring sadness or happiness? It brings sadness or dukkha, the bhikkhus replied. So Dhammam Passati, so Mam Passati, Lord Buddha showed us to see him through Dhammam. There is this story. Once Lord Buddha went out of the temple. People wanted to worship something resembling Lord Buddha. So bhikkhus made a statue of Lord Buddha from sandalwood, looking as the same. But when Lord Buddha returned, he said to remove it, burn it, and put the ashes to Ganganam river. So what does this mean? Lord Buddha never valued the form or the body. And you may remember the story of Vakali. Lord Buddha asked Vakali, what are you doing looking at the decaying body? Vakali. That's where Lord Buddha expressed, don't look at this decaying body. Look at Dhamma. Look at what I preached you. So we talk about Buddha's nature or Buddha's Svabhava because Lord Buddha has preached non-soul Dhamma. non-existence, Dhamma. When you go through this Nibbana path, actually, though we say we are going in a path, there's actually no path. It's a moment to moment happening. But there is no other way to express this. So when you go in this path, when you go on this path and understand this Dhamma practically and see that there is no soul and it's a drushtya or mayava or illusion, then only you will understand what is called Buddha Sabhavya or Buddha's nature or state of Buddha. In that state, there is emptiness or shunyatavya. It's like a non-vibration state. Though we say this, you can't get this state from a book or from mere knowledge. You can read the book for so many years, listen to anyone's sermons for decades. You might die even while reading and listening, but you will die as a lay, mundane world person. So if you believe that outside world is true and there is a hell and a heaven, obviously you will be born again because you are in the karma bhumi. So we will see how a lay person or a mundane world person or a Srutavat Putakchana sees the world. He thinks what he sees outside is real. He takes it as for real. He takes the body, the physical body, as the form or the rupa. And also he thinks there's a soul inside the body somewhere. Take the soul is in the body or body is inside the soul. He clings to his so-called me or ego, myself, mine. He fights with others to protect himself, myself and I. He has a duality. You are there, I am here. He also has a big ego, myself, mine. I have a big house, I have an expensive car, my child goes to the best school, I have an excellent job, I have done these degrees, so on and so on. Not only that, they will boast about their children's achievements too. Talks a lot about me and my family. We meet people like this in day-to-day basis, isn't it? They are always restless, going from one job to another. Sometimes they can't even finish one job because they are thinking about the next step or the next thing they are going to do. They have lots of future plans. They have targets and so on. They are always on the go. Always they want to do something. They have lots of attachments. They don't satisfy with one house, one car, and so on. Likes to collect stuff. In the meantime, they do a lot of meritorious deeds too, thinking they can go to heaven after death. They have a world. So we were also like that all the time before we listen to Buddhotpada sermons. Lord Buddha has said, take in some soil onto the toenail. Only this much of people will see the Arya Bhumi. He is the one who sees The world is a creation of our mind. He listens to true Dhamma, which Buddhotpado Arana is revealed into the world. The Srutavat Arya Shravaka, or the one who sees Arya Bhumi, he sees the thought or the Aramuna is same as the soul, and that there is nothing in a thought, that we see our own minds, or that's a illusion or vijnana maya. He knows that we suffer due to a thought. He knows through them. He knows there's nothing to be happy or sad. Says no soul, no existing soul. He has wisdom, so he knows the death is also a thought. So he won't find the conventional death anymore. Also, he knows that hell and heaven are merely thoughts, mind creations. How the mind is created and knows how to get rid of it. He also knows everything is vibrations, and the non vibration state is the state of Buddha. Now, we will go back to the radiant mind. He also gets the feeling of vibration to the senses. But still, the mind is not created properly. So, what we adults do and think and say, okay, we say he is still trying to understand the world, or he still does not understand the world yet. Do you feel what that child feels? When the mind starts to create and he identifies things and people, his mind too will start to get polluted with perceptions or lokasanya. He will start creating all the defilements. When he comes to the nursery age, he will start to know the world, and defilements will begin to form. A baby's mind, a radiant mind, is so pure. When we come to know true Dhamma, our minds also will be like that. It will be free from worries, free from suffering. You are beyond thoughts. You have the feel only. Actually, we too had a radiant mind. We had the radiant mind, but now it is covered with thoughts. Thoughts like houses, cars, children, jobs, education, and so on. All are thoughts. Actually, we suffer due to a thought. If one day we get rid of these thoughts, then it will be true freedom, isn't it? Wherever mind exists, there is sorrow and joy or suffering. There is always a duality. Duality is the nature of the mind. So, as we told, the radiant mind is still there. Sometimes you might feel it. You just run after thoughts, don't you? Sometimes you think, now it's enough running. Now I have to stop. Sometimes actually you try to get away from everything and stay in a calm and quiet place, don't you? At that time, when you keep all the thoughts away, and stay in solitude for some time. You might feel the radiant mind again. That's a feeling, not a thought. That's the feeling you get once you get rid of your mind. It's actually a freedom. We call it Cheto Vimukti, free of thoughts. When you understand how the mind is created due to colors, sounds, smell, taste, touch, hot and cold, which automatically creates the thoughts, and we live in that fantasy, illusional world with desires, greed, and everything. So once we get rid of these unwanted illusionary thoughts, we will feel the freedom. Carrying thoughts, it's really a burden, isn't it? Once you keep that burden down, you will feel just like a feather, just like a bird flying in the sky freely. You feel like a feather which is floating in the wind, very light. That's the radiant mind, no attachments or value to the thoughts. Isn't it wonderful? That is reality beyond duality. Once you are free from thoughts, only you will feel the freedom. Actually, the reality of the mind is radiant. Nobody can see it. Nobody can catch it. Nobody can show it. Actually, there's nothing called the mind. It's like the wind. Where does the wind exist? Can you show the wind? Consider a river. We can't show it. We can't touch it. If we touch it, it is only water, a flow, just like the wind. So river flows. Rain is a flow of water drops. We can't make any fixation on any of these. So there is no such thing as river, wind, or rain. All are concepts. So is the mind. So as you know, the essence of Buddhism is non-soul. It's a non-soul Dhamma. You should have a clear understanding of the soul. If you don't have practice, you cannot experience the truth. It's a bit difficult to understand. So the entire human race cannot see this pure truth, that there is no existing soul. But if one day you start to inquire about birth, death, and life, you will ultimately find this true Dhamma. So wherever in the world you are, the vibrations occur at your sensor levels. So the eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body arise. This truth is actually very beautiful and it's wonderful, isn't it? And simple, as Buddhotpada Aryan Mahanse says always. So now we will see how this so-called self or soul is created with some examples. If you see a tree, it's because of the vibrations. It's actually the vibrations of all five senses with the high speed. The dominant one comes forward. For example, in this case, eye or seeing is dominant. Although all five sensual activities are also involved. As the eye is the dominant sensor here, the creation due to the rapid vibrations makes a mental image or a chitta rupa. This is how the world is created in your mind. Actually, this sensual world is merely an illusion, and as you know, it is a creation. They do not exist anywhere. Even the feel of hot and cold is just a sensation at the skin level. It is therefore an illusion in the mind. This is the truth about the world, or truth about the thought. Wherever in the world, whatever you see is an mind creation, an illusion, or a vijnana maya. You should understand this truth that mind cannot go anywhere. If you see this truth one day, the objects you see becomes priceless, not valuable. Everything becomes empty things, no value at all. So if we say yata bhutanyane, it's the same as cause and effect dhamma, which means when the conditions arises, the object will arise, and when the condition ceases, objects disappears. Again, that's how the mind is created. Now you know that the world is created by our five senses: eye sensor, ear sensor, nose sensor, tongue sensor, and the skin sensor. Though the vibrations happens at the sensor level, it cannot analyze the object at the sensor level. This is what Lord Buddha has explained as Vattam Vattati in Dhammacakka Pavattana Sutra. So at the eye sensor level, it vibrates as colors and lights. So likewise, at every sensor level, this happens. But at sensor level, can't identify the object. When all the five sensors get together, which happens naturally, we say it's a mango tree, nut tree, coconut tree, car, house, and so on. Actually, we can't see outside. We are thinking. For example, your eye cannot recognize what you see outside. Your ear cannot recognize what's the sound. Your nose cannot identify the smell, and so on. Only the mind conscious can identify what's the object or people or anything. As our Buddhotpada Arana says, a telepathy system works here. We will just try to understand it now. For example, imagine you go on a trip to Nuvarelia when you were small, say in December, a cold time. And later in life, you go to the same place in another country, which is cold. And when you feel that cold, you would say, it's cold like Nuvarelia. Now, what happened here is that a kind of telepathy system, a frequency system, works, and when the vibrations tally each other, you would say, I remembered Nuvarelia. But actually, there is nothing called past memory. So the same vibrations which was previously in the system will tally with the same vibration. This could happen in any one of the senses. Say, if you get the fragrance of a rose, you might remember a perfume you used earlier. If you hear a song, you might remember a song you have listened in your childhood, and so on. Say, if you taste some food, especially this happens when you are in abroad, you might remember that taste is just like my mother makes, or it does not taste like mother's food, isn't it? If you think, you yourself can give lots of examples. But what is very important here is that there is nothing called past memory. It's a telepathy mechanism. Just like the windows vibrates when it's thundering somewhere, just like that. So there's one of my personal experiences before tsunami happened. When my child was about 4 years old, we went to Unavatuna beach for a holiday. That was a beach hotel, so it's almost at the beach. So the tsunami happened on 26th. On 24th night, I couldn't sleep at all because the sound of the sea. I got the feeling that something terrible is going to happen. But I didn't know what is it. We didn't know about tsunami back then, isn't it? But I knew it is to do something with the sea. That feeling you can't tell anyone. You can't even express it. So next day, somehow, I managed to tell the others and we came back. So the next day, tsunami happened, and later we found out that the hotel was no longer there. It was all washed out to the sea. So once I asked about it from our Kalyan Mitra and Mahansa, who said it could be a telepathy mechanism that worked. So it could be some 1,000 years ago, because this Dhamma is a Akalika Dhamma, timeless. So you must have experiences like this also. So all these experiences are to understand that this is a natural phenomena. No one is doing this. So now we'll talk a bit about the physical body. What does this physical body does? The body gets tired because it's running after what the mind says to do. In the end, the mind and body both are tired. So to get rid of this tiredness, we try to do various things to stimulate our senses. Just think, what would you do in a situation like this? Say you work hard at the office or at home. Then you feel very tired, aren't you? You think to get a rest, must go on a trip or go to the beach or to see a film or to meet some relatives, friends, go abroad, go on a trip, go to hotel and relax. So you do one of these, go on a trip or whatever you like. But actually, what you are doing is stimulating your senses again temporarily, isn't it? And when you come back, you will feel the same. You must have practical experiences like this. So there might be another person. He will sleep soundly for a few hours, and when he gets up, he feels relaxed. Actually, what happens here, as his senses are not stimulating, his mind also feels relaxed. Due to that, the body feels relaxed too. So he feels more relaxed. I think you have this experience after a hard day's work. If you get a good rest, means sleep, you feel more relaxed, less stressed. That's because not your body is sleeping, but the mind is having a good rest without thoughts. But you think the body had a rest. But this is also like in concentration meditation, you get a temporary relief. So the actual path to relaxation lies in the insight meditation. That's to identify the thoughts and see that there is nothing in a thought. Actually, if you ever understand this, you won't even feel that you are working. So, why do you say that? Because this Dhamma is practical and you don't have to go anywhere to practice this Dhamma. You don't have to go for go for retreats where you do samatha meditation and come back without any results, which means the defilements you took there with you will definitely come back with you. Also, you can read any amount of Dhamma books, but you can't get this practical knowledge or practical experience from a book. After closing the book, it will become merely a knowledge. And as you know by now, with knowledge you can't achieve Nibbana. You can't step into the Aribhumi with only a bookish knowledge. Because again, the knowledge is thoughts, and with thoughts you can't attain Nibbana. This Dhamma will be known to deep wisdom. Our spiritual guidance teacher, Buddhotpadu Aryan Mahansa, is showing and guiding the path to Nibbana. And what you have to do is to listen to Buddhotpadu's sermons and to travel along that path. In this era, it's very difficult to find these who explains Dhamma through their own knowing, own recognition. So don't waste your time. This might be your last chance. So don't you think you should know the truth about your life? Do you want to die without knowing the truth? The true Dhamma? This Dhamma helps you to identify your ego or myself, me, which is the worst enemy in this path, and shows the way how to get rid of that ego. Ego is the existence feeling of me, myself. So everything goes around this false me. We have already talked a lot about the false me or ego in other sermons and how it is created. Once you come to know that there is actually no soul, that is the false view, the ego starts to diminish. Ego can come in various ways. So some the know-it-all ego, the fearful ego, the comfort zone ego, the judgmental ego, the people-pleasing ego, the justifying ego. These are some few types of the egos. Everyone has some type of ego. We have to identify the type of ego we have. The more the ego, people are selfish, manipulative, and critical of others. In the selfish ego state, people are reckless and demanding. So when somebody is in the Dhamma path, it is very, very important to identify this ego because it stays till the end of the journey. But when you are being practical in Dhamma, one should be able to catch this ego. Once it come forward, but it's very difficult to catch it. Most of the time, you miss it as it comes in many ways, many simple ways. Sometimes you miss it. So always try to be humble. So now we will see why we call it a practical Dhamma. It's because you can practice this from wherever you are, at home, at the working place, while driving, going to the market to buy food, while washing clothes, while playing with children, while cooking, while doing any sort of activity in any position. Actually, you don't have to sit in a meditative position to do that, but specifically, elderly people cannot sit in that meditative position, isn't it? So, this is very, very practical for anyone. Yes, even children can do it. So, when you are being practical in Dhamma, there are four principles to be accomplished. There are also two parts to this principle. First half, Purvabhaga Pratipadawa, and the second half is Aprabhaga Pratipadawa. Without accomplish this, Nibbana is not possible. So, in the first half of Purvabhaga Pratipadawa, one should know how the mind is created. By now, you know that according to the vibrations, the sensors are created. The created sensors create the mind consciousness. So it's a momentary creation that takes place depending on each other. When all the sensors are combined, mental formations are created or the chitta rupa are created. So sounds, colors, smell, taste, and so on are combined due to contact, and then feelings such as existence of an individual being is created. This process occurs continuously and at a very high speed. So only learning this process, you will know how to reverse this. For that, you need the guidance of Kalyana Mitranan Vahansa. So now you know this is a system, a process, and no one inside is doing anything. It's a natural phenomena that occurs. For example, it's like a plant is growing. So at first, we apply this to be practical. Like I see, but not I see. Ear hears, but not I hear. Nose smells, but not I smell. Tongue tastes, but not I taste. Mind thinks, but not I think. Likewise. So, this way, we'll try to see our five senses first. But it's difficult at first. Few days after practicing, you can apply it anywhere you want while doing day-to-day activities. So, supposing you are cooking, you can apply this. Example, cutting vegetables. So, eye conscious sees, mind conscious identify as a knife. Eye conscious sees, mind conscious identify as carrot. So, body conscious does the action of cutting. So, at first, you are in the Savitakka Savichara state. You mean you have to think. You have to think and do it. But when you practice this for some time, it becomes Avitakka Avichara state. It happens automatically without involving I or myself. Actually, later you will understand that there is no I or anybody doing this. This is happening without a soul. So, likewise, you can apply this in any activity you do: office work, housework, cooking, sewing, bathing, anywhere, anytime. But you don't have to do it for the whole day. The best is to do while walking. Eye conscious sees, mind conscious identifies. Ear conscious hears, mind conscious identifies. Nose conscious smells, mind conscious identifies. Tongue conscious taste, mind conscious identifies. Skin conscious feels, mind conscious identifies, and so on. So, when you do this, you can see that there is no I involved in this practice. I is merely a concept, isn't it? This is automatically happening. So, suppose you hear a voice, then come back to your practice. Ear conscious hears, mind conscious identifies it as a cat sound. But with that, you don't go on into the thoughts, looking for the cat, what color it is, and so on. So imagine you smell some food, say somebody's frying sprat or something. So now come back to the practice. Nose conscious smells, mind conscious identify as sprats. Oh, so but you don't go on to the thoughts again. I have to buy that, I have to go and see, and so on. All are thoughts. So, likewise, you can practice this at any time of the day, in any position. What you have to identify here is that all are mind creations and nothing comes from outside. So, as Lord Buddha said, "Tubahya tapasa, tutu deyak natnam, tutu kenek ne." So, what's so special about Buddhotpada sermons is that you have to identify this one thought. For example, if we identify one leaf from a mango tree, so all are the same. There's nothing in the thought. So Buddhotpada Arana revealed the pure truth to the world through Pratyaksha Jnana. So some are how to see the dependent origination Dhamma, Four Noble Truths, Three Universal Truth, Three Worlds, and so on in one thought. So in practical side of Dhamma, all are in one thought. The one who sees the true Dhamma, the thought won't be a thing. He knows that there is nothing in the thought. He is the one who has the Yathabhuta Jnana, which means he knows the truth in this world. He has the Dhamma eye or the Dhamma Chakusha. He no longer get caught in the illusion, no burning fire inside. He will definitely see Nibbana. So you are very fortunate to have a chance to listen to this pure doctrine. These days, people copy Dhamma, preach in different ways without having their own experiences. The pure gold is the Dhamma given to the world by someone who has completely undergone and experienced it. Buddhotpada Aryan Mahansa is always there to guide us through the path in the accurate way, the correct direction. What we have to do is to identify when the self or ego pops up and go through the path of dissolving it. When the defilement starts to fade, we feel the inner peace, the inner fire, and the stress disappearing. So, how do we know that defilements are dissolving? So, you might say, I had craving for food earlier, but now I'm not craving for food like I did. Or I had anger before, but after started listening to Buddhotpada sermons and preaching this Dhamma, now I don't get angry often, and so on. But actually, what's very important to identify is the mind sensor. The thoughts will come and go naturally. Again, no one is doing this. Like other sensors, mind is also a sensor. So the thoughts come. We can't stop it. What can we do is to show the truth only. When an infant is born, he didn't have any defilements or taints. No jealousy, no greed. But there's the gum for the taints to develop in the future. This is why taints are created. This is a process. So as long as someone has defilements and taints, that person cannot escape birth and death. So Aryan Mahansa explains to the world in a simple manner according to the Sutra Deshana for the people to understand accurately. This is true Dhamma. So Buddhotpada discourses are available in YouTube channels too. I think we will conclude for today. Tirvan Saranai Aryan Mahansa. Do you want to add anything? Tirvan Saranai.
Arana not join it that no. Not it Arana join it doesn't.
Okay, Mehul Hansa.
Arana say not joined with us, not yet joined with us. Then our time, a few minutes, no, 4 minutes.
Teruan Sannamani answer.
Oh, we have about only 5 minutes, 4 minutes, no?
Yes.
Then,
Let me thank our Dhamma friend for
oh,
her valuable speech on how mind is created and the practical experience on which she had experienced an actual path to Nibbana as explained by our spiritual guidance teacher Buddhotpada Aryan Vansa. It was a very clear speech and I think everybody can understand it. So thank you so much to our Dhamma friend and much merits to you all. Also, Mehin Vasi, do we have anything to be discussed here? So we have 4 minutes, 3 minutes.
no, I have about this.
Teruan
Thank
Sannai
you
Mehin
very
Vansa.
much. Oh,
Teruan
no,
Sannai.
no, no, I know. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Teruan Sannai Mehin Vansa, Teruan Sannai Aryan Vansa,
Therwan Saranai.
Teruan Sannai our Buddhotpada Dhamma friends.
Teruwan Saranai.